Beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel, Pamela's Healing Journey, Trauma to Triumph. My name is Pam, and this channel is all about healing, building resiliency, and finding the strength to move forward after trauma. Today we're talking about something that many of us trauma survivors struggle with: emotional triggers. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, anxious, or suddenly transported back to a painful memory without knowing why, you are not alone. Triggers can be powerful, but understanding them is the first step to taking back control. So in this video, we're going to explore identifying what triggers are and how they form, recognizing your own personal triggers, and learning effective ways to manage and cope with them. If this sounds like something you need, stick around and let's get started. So what are triggers? Triggers are emotional reactions that happen when something reminds us of our past trauma. They usually come from three different areas: sensory experiences, so a smell, a sound, or a sight that brings back memories; emotional situations, like feeling abandoned, rejected, or unsafe; and physical sensation, which can include increased heart rate, tight chest, or dizziness. Triggers happen because our brain links past trauma to present experiences, making us feel like we are reliving the pain. But there is good news. Triggers are not permanent. And with awareness, we can learn to manage them. For each of us, our triggers are very individual and unique to our experience. Recognizing your specific triggers is the key to healing them. So here's some questions to ask yourself. When do I feel suddenly anxious or distressed? Are there certain people, places, or situations that make me feel unsafe? What physical sensations do I notice when I feel triggered? How does my body react? Racing heart, nausea, sweating. Journaling your responses and keeping a trigger log can help you spot patterns that make sense to your reactions. So while those of us that experience trauma do experience triggers, we all do, our triggers are very unique and individual to us based on our own experiences. So part of the healing process is to identify and recognize what your specific triggers are. So here's a few questions that you can ask yourself with the help of journaling to find some answers. So number one, when do I feel suddenly anxious or distressed? I know for me personally, one of those triggers for me is when I feel like somebody's questioning me. Number two, are there certain people, places, and situations that make me feel unsafe? So for me, a family reunion is one of those situations. Number three, what physical sensations do I notice when I feel triggered? So for me, my heart starts to race, my body starts to tense. I start to get these messages like, I have to get out of here, I have to find the exit. Those are just my personal ones. And number four, what items, situations, or circumstances is common when I get triggered? Because often we get triggered and we don't know why, right? So it takes a little exploration to understand. So an example for me is I'm triggered by these maple-shaped cookies. They look like a maple leaf. They smell like maple. And those are a trigger for me. And it took a while for me to identify why sometimes I would be like in a group setting, or even when I reflect back to like my elementary days, that just the smell of those cookies. So I know for me, my like big revelation on that trigger was I was in a group, like a peer support group setting, and somebody had brought in treats and to share with the group, and these cookies were there. And I remember instantly as I came into the room, I could smell them. And I was slightly triggered, like the smell of maple on its own doesn't necessarily trigger me, but as soon as I saw somebody pick up one of those cookies and put it to their mouth, I lost my shit. I had to leave. So it took a little bit for me to identify that these cookies because I didn't have a memory of why. That's how trauma works. We don't have all the memories at once. So I didn't have a memory of why these cookies would trigger me. That came a little bit later as I recognized that was a trigger, and then eventually that memory came to me. So I fully understand now why that was a trigger for me. But again, most people can eat those cookies, no problem. It's not part of their trauma, but it was for me. So journaling your responses and keeping a trigger log can be helpful for you to spot patterns and to make sense of your reactions. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what you can do when you're feeling triggered. This works for the triggers that you have identified, and it also works when you're just feeling triggered and you don't know why. All right, so number 1 are grounding techniques. Those are huge, right? When we are triggered, we're being pulled back into the past. So grounding techniques help bring us back into the present, and that is why they're so important. So my favorite is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. I did a video on this a little bit earlier. It's finding 5 things that you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 you can taste. Again, it's just literally using your senses. You can mix that up in any way you want. You can do like 5 things you can touch and 4 things you can taste, however you want to do it. But you use your 5 senses and you count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breathing is also a great tool. For deep breathing, that's inhaling for 4, holding for 4, and exhaling for 6. So again, inhaling for 4, holding for 4, and exhaling for 6. I normally try to do that 3 times. And another grounding technique is to hold on to something tangible, like a cold object or something with texture. And then you're going to hold it, you're going to feel it, and you're going to shift your focus to, what does this object feel like? What does it look like? What's the texture of it? What's the temperature of it? Again, that's pulling you out of the past and back into the present. Okay, number 2, self-compassion and inner dialogue. So important. You can remind yourself, this is a trigger, it's not my reality. One of the things I have to remind myself is I have to tell myself, we are an adult, we are not 5 anymore, and we are safe. Affirmations, I am safe, I'm in control, I am healing. Number 3, healthy boundaries. So if certain people, places, or conversations trigger you, it's okay to step back from them, right? This is about you, your healing, what works for you. And you don't have to apologize. You don't have to give anybody explanation or reason. Your job is to make yourself safe. Because unfortunately, somebody didn't do that for you early on because you experienced trauma. It's your job now to take on that role. And so if people, places, things, or conversations are triggering you, it's okay to not have them anymore or to step back from them and have only limited access to them. Another healthy boundary is prioritizing environments that make you feel safe and supportive, right? So what are the places, who are the people, what are the group settings that make you feel safe and supported? That's what you need to seek out. That's what you need to put more in your life, right? More situations and circumstances with people and places that feel safe. And finally, number 4 is seeking professional support. So triggers can feel overwhelming. I know for me, they were for a very long time, and they literally dictated and controlled my life. There was a time early on with my son that I could not go into Walmart. If my son needed diapers or formula, I could not get myself into the Walmart because it was just such a very triggering environment for me. But with the help of my counselor, because I sought professional support, I was able to lessen this intensity. And now I don't have any problems going into Walmart. And then there's all kinds of other modalities that you can seek out other than like CBT therapy. There's EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization. Oh my God, I can't say the word. Basically desensitizing and reprocessing. There's somatic breath work. There's somatic other tools. Meditation. There are a ton of different resources out there, and there's a lot of professionals. Hypnosis is another one. Reiki, I suggest as well, is another modality. And again, those you would seek out with the help of somebody that is trained and certified in that modality. So as I get ready to close up this video, I want to remind you that healing from trauma is a journey. And learning to manage your triggers is a huge step forward. Remember, you are not alone, and you have the power to reclaim your peace. So I want to ask you, have you ever noticed your own triggers? What coping strategies have you used that have helped you the most? I want to create a safe space in the comments, so I would love to hear from you, because what works for you may not work for me, and so therefore I may not share that information, but somebody else that's watching may read your comment and go, oh, I think that might work for me, right? This is about building community and helping each other heal. Lastly, if this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share to help others on their healing journey. Your support means the world to me. Tomorrow, I will be talking about self-care tips, daily habits that support trauma healing. So hope to see you there, and I'm wishing you a very blessed day.